Hello students, I am presenting before you the third part of my presentation regarding the dividend theories. In this part, I will discuss the irrelevant theories. There are two types of irrelevant theories, traditional approach and residual approach. Second is the Modigliani and Miller approach. First is the traditional approach, or it is also known as a residual approach. This theory, irrelevance theory, says that there is no impact of dividend policy on the value of the shares. So in this lineage, the traditional approach, it says the same thing, that dividend has no impact on the wealth of the shareholders. That is, it doesn't have any impact on the price of the shares, and it is irrelevant as far as the valuation of firm is concerned. So the dividend decision, they are taking dividend decision as a part of the financing decision. So it is a type of decision where the earnings available with the company, they may be retained in the business for reinvestment purpose, but if they are not having any investment opportunities, then that funds can be distributed in the form of a dividend. So the first priority of the company should be to see whether they are having investment opportunities or not. If they have that kind of opportunity, they should invest their funds in that investment alternative. But if they are not having such opportunity, then they should distribute that profit in the form of a dividend. So they take dividend payment as a dividend decision, as a residual decision. Further, this theory says that investors, they do not differentiate between the dividends and retention by the firm. They are only concerned with earning higher returns out of their investment. It says that if the company is having a good investment opportunity, then according to the shareholders, they believe that the company should invest in that opportunity so that company can earn more and more profits that will have positive impact on the market price of the share, and ultimately the wealth of the shareholders will increase. But if the company is not having any kind of profitable investment alternative, then company should pay that funds or surplus in the form of a dividend. So the basic psyche of the investor is to earn returns out of their investment. Next is the Modigliani and Miller approach. This approach says that dividend policy has no effect on the market price of the share, and the value of the firm is only determined by the earning capacity of the firm or its investment policy. It depends upon the earning capacity of the firm and the investment policy. So the value of the firm is dependent upon the earning capacity and investment policy a company is following. The splitting of earnings between the retentions and dividend does not affect the value of the firm. Further, if you are dividing that earnings between the retentions, that is retaining those profits, or whether to distribute that profits in the form of dividend, it doesn't have any effect on the value of the firm. So this theory is based on various assumptions. First is, they assume that there are perfect capital markets. Investors, they always behave rationally. The information regarding company is available to all the person, the investors, and they doesn't have to face any kind of cost. There are no flotation or transaction cost. If you are trading in the shares, if you are if you are issuing more and more shares, you doesn't have to bear any kind of such cost. No investor is large enough to affect the market price of the shares. So investors, they can't affect the market price. There are no taxes, or there are no differences in the tax rates applicable to the dividends and capital gains. They assume that the tax which investor has to pay on the dividends or on the capital gain is same, and there are no either there are no taxes, or there is no difference in the tax rates applicable on the dividend income and on the capital gains. And it also assumes that the firm has a rigid investment policy. Once the investment policy is formed by the company, that the company doesn't change it. So what a kind of arguments MMA approach give? It argues that if you that it is true that you can increase the value of the firm by paying more and more dividend. This is what the relevance theory says, that if you pay more dividend, then the value of the firm increases. Approach says that if you pay more dividend, it will increase the value of the firm, but it will result in a kind of situation for the firm that the company is also having an investment opportunity, so company uh, has to raise finance from the external sources. So because company is not having profit, they have already distributed that profit in the form of a dividend, and company has to depend upon the external sources for financing their investment opportunity. That will result in, either if you are issuing the shares, you have your number of shares will increase, that will have a negative impact on your earning per share, and if you are issuing debentures, then you have to pay more interest. So the benefit which you are getting by paying dividend to the shareholders, with the value of the firm, it will be exactly offset by the decline in the market price of the shares, because you are now depending upon the external financing. So, and there will be no change in the total wealth of the shareholders. Here is a formula. This formula says that the market price of a share in the beginning of the period, whatever is the market price of share in the beginning of the period, that will be exactly equal to the present value of the dividends paid at the end of the period. The value of the dividends which you are paying at the end of the period, plus the market price of that share at the end of the period. So it says that the market price in the beginning of the share will be equal to the present value of the dividends paid at the end of the period plus the market price of that share at the end of the period. So it can be put in the form of formula in such a way. Here P0, this is the market price at the beginning of the period, this is equal to the present value, because you are here using the discount rate, that is the cost of capital, D1 plus P1 divided by 1 plus K, that is the cost of capital. Here this is the part that helps us in calculating the present value, that will be equal to the dividend to be received by the shareholder at the end of the period plus the market price per share at the end of the period. So the market price in the beginning of the period, that is P0, that will be exactly equal to the present value of the dividend paid at the end of the period plus the market price of the share at the end of the period. This is what the approach says. So here P1, that is the market price at the end of the share, can be calculated as the market price of the share in the beginning of the period, 1 plus cost of equity minus dividend which you are to pay at the end of the period. This approach has been criticized on various aspects. First is on the basis of its assumptions. First assumption was that the perfect capital market exists, but in reality there is no perfect capital market. Another assumption says that the information about the company is available to all persons, but it is not the case. Company's information is not available to all the persons. And further, there was assumption that a firm has no flotation cost, but a firm has to bear flotation cost when they have to issue new securities. It also assumes that there is no existence of taxes, but taxes do exist. And secondly, they assume that there is no tax difference between the tax rates applicable on the dividend and capital gains, but normally there is a difference between the tax treatment for the dividends and capital gains. And it also assumes that the company follows a rigid investment policy, which in the present times is not possible. Firm does not follow any rigid policy. The investor, they have to pay brokerage, they have to pay fees, such kind of charges while during any transaction. It means they have to bear a transaction cost. Next is the shareholders may prefer the current income as compared to the further gains. This was not assumed in the approach. So this was all about the Modigliani and Miller approach. Thank you.